Hello, Inga Kayademir. You are the COO of Unicorn. Unicorn, in short, is one of the best known co-working operator in Germany, and you're especially well positioned in Berlin. You are in five cities in Berlin. You have also some activities now in Portugal, but we won't speak about it. And we were happy to have you today because you went through the crisis, the COVID crisis, like surfing the wave rather than being washed by it. You open new location, you have raised money. Of course, there are challenges, but we'll discuss about it during this podcast. But first of all, can you briefly introduce us to Unicorn?
Yeah, thank you very much. Unicorn was founded in 2015, so 5 years ago, and we started really small with a classical co-working cafe here in Berlin, and then it was shortly followed by an event space. And during the last years, there was an immense growth. So at the moment, we have, like you already mentioned, we have workspaces here in Berlin, also in Munich, in Cologne, in Potsdam, in Hamburg. So, and in Berlin, also next year, we are going to open 2 more spaces. So yeah, it was a really nice journey during the last years.
Yes, and so your ambition is to become the biggest co-working operators in Berlin, for sure, and you are close to that objective, I guess. So, and you are a little bit everywhere in the city. That's also one of your strategies, that geographically you can offer locations in different parts of the cities. So you will assume 20 location, and on average, it's between 1,500 and 2,000 square meters per location. But to come back on what we started to mention, for you the COVID crisis was, yeah, of course, like for everyone, a big hit. But could you explain us how you handle it, and how you could eventually maybe benefit from what happened?
Yeah, like you already mentioned, the COVID crisis hit us quite unexpected as well. Also our clients, but we try to keep as many of our users as possible by making special deals, offers. For example, we for our existent, we always try to think about what our clients need now at the moment during this crisis, and also what they might need for the future. And for example, for our existing clients, we thought, okay, if they are working from home during the lockdown, maybe they need their workstation at home. So they need their table or their special chair. So we offered them to deliver their work station to their home. Or we offered the existing clients, like you mentioned, we have spaces all over Berlin. Berlin, it's the public transportation in Berlin could take quite long. So if they don't want to take the public transportation to through the whole city, we also offered them that they could work from one of our workspaces in their neighborhood, if there is one. Or we try to we also tried during the whole crisis, we tried to stay in contact with most of them, and also we reacted quite fast with all these special needs, so that they feel safe in the workspaces. For example, with keeping the distance. In the offices, we placed the table in the right distance, and we had these masks, wearing the mask. It was mandatory in all of our spaces. So everything that our clients feel safe.
So you said also that one of the demand you saw rising is that was due to the fact that big companies or companies with HQs in Berlin, for instance, were thinking about splitting their teams as a strategy to avoid to have too many people packed in the same room. And that instead of having everybody crowded within one building, they got in touch with you and asked to distribute the workforce and split the whole people they had working with them in smaller teams. That's how it is.
Yeah, one of our ideas was to create a work week. That's how we call it. If companies decided to split teams, or maybe big companies in Berlin with their own space, they realized, okay, we don't have enough space to keep the distance, so that they could book a table or a room in one of our workspaces for their teams if they want to split them. So, or also if in Berlin still most of the people are in home office, but for example, if you just need a break from home office, you also have the possibility to come to one of our spaces and book this work week and just work from one of our spaces for a week or two. Yeah. So we try to keep it quite simple. There is no contract. You just come and work from one of our spaces, and then you pay week by week.
Yeah, it was like open access for everybody. It was like a marketing options that you made for these circumstances for people also to discover your service. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, and what about the fact that in Berlin we know that in continental Europe, co-working, yes, it's growing, it's booming, everything. But of course, we see also that we are lagging behind some other countries. In Europe, the UK is way ahead. We see that it's all over the place in some other countries like the US, of course, or maybe in some places in Asia. And Germany or France or Italy or Benelux, we well, with the exception maybe of Amsterdam, we still were a little bit behind those countries. Do you see a change now in that? And do you expect things to maybe speed up now that we have been through that situation, and maybe that some obvious things are now really obvious for more people?
Yes, definitely. So in my personal opinion, Germany was quite traditional, and now through the COVID crisis, most of the companies realized that their employees could also work from home, or that their teams, they could organize their teams remote. So most of them realized that there is no need for personal meetings, that you also could have a Zoom meeting, and that there are several tools to organize your teams, but not necessarily be in the same room. So I see a huge change in the mind of most of the companies, but also no one knows at the moment. Everybody is quite unsure about the future. No one knows what the future brings. So most of the companies try to think more in the short term. They are looking for more flexible contracts, flexible space. Most of them realize that they don't need these huge spaces just for their own. They realize that they could also share space, or they could also go into a workspace where they are flexible with the team size, with the number of offices. So with the contract length, for example, in Germany, if you try to rent your own office space, most of the contracts are minimum for 5 years. So now most of the companies realize, okay, maybe we don't need a contract for 5 years. Who knows where we are in 5 years? So they are looking for flexible contracts and
less commitment.
And I think we provide a good solution.
Is it what helped the company in Unicorn to convince the investor and the shareholder to raise money despite the difficult time that we are in, and that you had this confidence, and you have this confidence in the fact that indeed the model went through its proof of concept now for bigger deal of people, and that definitely you can see the future with very positive and optimistic eye.
Yeah, I think that helps. I mean, we trust in our business model, and I think that's why most of our investors do trust in us. And we see the future of new work, and we are convinced that we have a product that matches the future needs. So I think that's something, or that our investors share this point of view.
Yeah, okay. And maybe another question more on the organization you have. So you have 60 people working for the company nowadays. You are the COO. So how do we deal with the scale up and the training and the hiring of this new staff? Because we know that running a co-working space demands very specific skills and tasks and a specific mindset. So how do you address that nowadays? And do you have some way to maybe do you hire your members, for instance? That's what do a lot of co-working space, for instance, or do you have some specific way to address that challenge?
I'm in the lucky situation that I have a great team. Unicorn, we have in one of the special things about Unicorn is that we do have community baristas in all of our spaces. So it's the community barista. It's something, but it's between an office manager or a community manager and a barista. So they provide you with a really great coffee, Italian coffee, but they also do the work of a community manager, and all of them are highly motivated. So it was not so difficult to keep them motivated. And during the crisis, that was for me, it was perfect that I have such a great team. And also a lot of people are working in the back office of Unicorn, like marketing teams, sales, accounting, etc. We also offered them to work from home during the crisis. Of course, for them there was no need to come to the spaces. For the community barista, of course, all of our spaces stayed open. So of course, the community baristas, for them there was no choice. They had
to be there.
But of course, I asked them before if someone couldn't work for what kind of reason. But for the community baristas, it was a hard time during the lockdown in Germany, because all the spaces were empty, and most of them were missing the contact to our clients, and of course it was a bit boring as well, but we tried everything to keep them motivated, like we did like online yoga classes and stuff like this.
And what about the fact or the need to keep the same culture, the same mindset, the same vibe in all these different locations? Because in 5 years' time you grew so fast, and not in small buildings. So how do you address that? Do you make monthly training, or is there some a checklist of things that people from Unicorn have to do or say or behave like?
Of course, we have checklists, but it's more like a to-do checklist. It's not a checklist for the behavior. It's more like things that need to be done in a space. And of course, we do have trainings. We have communication trainings, but it's more for like how do I communicate in difficult situations. For example, if there are problems, how do I communicate in situations like that? But I think Unicorn, we are people from many different cultures are working from Unicorn, and that is our biggest strength, I would say. We are learning from each other, and we have team events on a regular basis to get to know each other, and of course we have smaller team events, and we also have events for the whole team, and that's one of the ways we try to stay in contact. And of course, we are during the crisis, we also use Slack or Zoom for weekly meetings or monthly meetings. It depends on the team size. For example, for the community baristas, we have a weekly meeting, and during that meetings, we are talking about future tasks. Sometimes we're also doing some short trainings, but we are also talking about problems, or during the lockdown, I talked to the team members about the lockdown. How do they feel if they work from home office, or how do they feel in the spaces? And we are always looking for example, if they're in the spaces, do you need something? Is there something we can do for you to make it a little bit easier in this situation? Yeah, that's most of the things we do.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Inga, for sharing those stories and thoughts with us. And we will have a Unicorn at Coworking Europe conference in Vienna in November. So
we are really looking forward to it.
Yes, and only 3 months to go, and definitely. So, and I can remind our listeners that it will be hybrid. So we will be there in Vienna, but those who are have some issues, or we know that travels is not always easy, but we will have everything also live stream for those who want. And so we look really forward to have you and meet eventually in person in Vienna in a few months. And thank you again for the discussion, and let's speak soon.
Yeah, thank you very much, Oni.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.